My friends, we're on the dark side of the shop, which means I've got a project. And the project today was kind of thrust upon me, and it involves the Bobcat. I'll show you what we have to do right after this. Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks workshop. We're on the dark side today, and we have a project involving the Bobcat, and it ain't pretty. We just gotta fix it. Let me show you what we gotta do. So I guess we're gonna play that old child's game. One thing is not like the other. Can you see what's not like the other? Well, this broke off of there. This is supposed to be attached to that. Now I have it propped up with this board right here at the moment, but it's supposed to look like this, and it don't. So this has broken off, and when you see the weld that's on here, it's pretty obvious why it broke. It's pretty crappy weld, and I'm being really kind when I say that's a pretty crappy weld. I mean, on my worst day, I could do better than that. That's really bad. So that doesn't give me much faith that that side's going to hold. But what's really bothering me about this is you see how this is extended? I did that. I did that from inside the Bobcat. I extended this out, but this one didn't extend out. So I'm wondering why it didn't. That is weird. So I don't know how to combat that problem now. So I think what I'm going to have to do is take the whole cylinder loose so that I can pull this out to get to it to weld it. Yeah, and I think I'm just going to have to take this apart. I wasn't planning to do that. I was planning to extend this, just wrap some wet towels around it, you know, grind it out and weld it back. But it looks like I'm going to have to go deeper because this isn't extending, and I'm wondering why. It really does puzzle me why this didn't extend when that one did. I wonder if that had anything to do with it breaking. So I'm going to take this whole thing apart, I guess, to try to get it where I can weld it. It'll be a better weld job if I can get it on the bench anyway, but I really wasn't wanting to take it all apart. Sometimes what you want and what you get is two different things. Ah, look at there, that pulled right out, no problem at all. At least that made that easy. So, once in a while you get a little bit lucky. Here's a close-up of the weld. You can see there, it's the classic chicken poop, bird poop, pigeon poop weld. Really bad. I mean, really bad. That's just not good at all. That's how it's supposed to go on there. I guess I could try to do it right here like this. And I might. I'm not above that. What I might try to do is drive this on there where it's tight, tack it in two places, then grind this all out and weld it. I might try that. It'd just be a lot easier than taking all of this apart and all the hoses and everything. The problem would be welding it on the bottom side. I wouldn't be able to weld it very well down there, so maybe I just won't do that. Maybe I'll just go ahead and take it all apart. Well, I've already started loosening these up, and you know, I don't have those plug kits to plug all these things, so I'm going to have a bunch of leaking crud here, I imagine. Let me see if I can find some rags and things to sop up what's going to fall out of here. Well, I have a pan on the ground down there. I don't know that it's going to catch everything, but what it don't catch, we'll clean up later. Now I got to take this big bolt loose through here. Got to figure out what size that's going to be. Looks like it's going to be 15/16, and I'm going to have to get one through on the inside in there. Well, I think I can get this wrench on it from the other side. It goes way back in a hole, I think. assuming that's even the right size, and I'm not sure that it is on the inside. It might be different. Yep, came right loose. It's already loose. Pretty simple. Something fell through. There it is. Big washer fell through, so just keep all the parts stacked up right here and hopefully it'll be okay. I should be able to pull this off of there now, I think. Well, it would have been simple, except for it's not, because there's this little tiny screw holding on a bracket here. If it wasn't for that, it would be a piece of cake. Hopefully that'll sit there while I get an Allen to loosen that up. Always something. So there's just one little Allen right here. I have a feeling, I'm pretty sure it's going to be metric. And it looks like it's probably this size. Except that it's been rubbed and it's wore, and of course that means the Allen won't fit in there. Pretty sure that that's the right size. It is. I think the bigger one is the right size, but it's mangled so it won't fit in. This little one almost turns it, but it's too loose for the little one, too tight for the big one. Maybe it's American size. I'll try it and see, but I have a feeling it's just mangled is the reason. The imperial sizes don't fit it any better, but I can almost drive it in there and make it turn it. Yeah, I think I did that time. Turned it a little bit. It didn't turn it very much, but anything's better than nothing. There, it came loose finally. Piece of cake. Yeah, nothing to it. Well, at least I got that off. Now we'll go over to the bench and see what we can do. Well, I cleaned it up a little bit. I clamped this vice grips on here, hoping I could just kind of pull back out on this and get it to come out a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it wants to come out. I'm wondering if this thing ain't really screwed up. I'm going to take a hammer and tap on it a little bit. Here's a plastic mallet hammer and see if this will let it start to come out a little bit. I see no movement at all. That's making me wonder if this thing's any good. I can spin it that way. I would think without any pressure on it, it ought to be squirting oil out of these holes and it ought to be moving. But right now, I don't see any movement at all. Typical luck. What a bummer. It could just be so easy, but it won't be easy because it can be hard. You know, that's kind of the way these things go. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, like I said, I can spin it, but it won't come out. Maybe if I pull while I'm spinning, but nope, it ain't coming. I would think if I put maybe some air pressure in here, it might blow it out. I'll try that. I'll try a little bit of air pressure. Not going to try very much at first because I don't want this to blow really fast and hard. Well, here goes nothing, and it may cause a problem. Yeah, well, it blew it out at least. I had a feeling that was going to happen, but it did let the thing come out a little bit. I really didn't want it to come out all that much. It just needed to come out some, because it's just awkward working on it that close to this. And of course it made a mess, which I knew it would. At least we got it out there a little ways. Now we can go on from there. This ain't good. I see a little bit of a flat spot right here, and I have a feeling that probably happened after it broke. My wife probably didn't realize it broke and did something with it, and yeah, It looks like this is damaged right here. Doggone it, I don't need that. Gonna have to see what I can do about that now. I'm gonna probably have to push this out some more and see how bad this is. So I've got a cloth covering this a little bit to try to catch some of the oil. It's not blowing it in there now. There it goes. Yeah, it messed it up a little bit. It doesn't actually look like a scratch. It's more like a bruise almost. I don't know. Doggone it. Just didn't need to have extra problems. Well, that sure blows out a lot of oil just for a minor amount of movement. I don't know if you can see the damage right here, but it's almost like it's wrinkled right here. That's the only place I see it, and it's not rough or anything, but you can feel it, and shouldn't be there, I know that. I may just try to live with that for now and see what happens. It'll probably cause the seal to fail. Might see if there's any kind of a way to smooth that out a little bit. I just don't know. And this is all bummed up around here too. I can tell, like after it broke, she must have banged it in and out a time or two, because this is all messed up. Well, I'm gonna grind this off. I don't know how this is gonna go, but it can't get no better sitting there, so I'm gonna have to do something. Boy, it's messed up. They had a ton of weld on here, it's just that it didn't bond to the other part. This job looks like it calls for an electric grinder rather than a battery grinder, because it's got so much to grind away. Well, that was easy. Yeah, right. But I did get all of the crappy welds off of there. It's back down to base metal. I didn't grind beyond base metal. As soon as I got to base metal, I stopped pretty much. I mean, I didn't take off more than 1/1000th or two. So that ought to be better, at least give me a fair chance to weld it right. Well, I did scrounge around and find a couple of caps to put on these. In fact, I think this might have been the caps it came with. Looking down at the table here, I ran a bar through this hole, and I have it clamped on both ends of the table. It's a hex bar, so it's not round, and that kind of holds this still. There's a hole in the table right there where the grease fitting on the other end can fit through. So that's about the only place I can put it. It's a little awkward, it's a little far over here, but I needed some way to hold it so that I can grind up this end up here and make that other end match up to it better. This end's kind of boogered up here. It's smashed, and I can tell that, you know, it broke, and then I guess my wife was pushing this in and out and it banged it up pretty bad. So I'm going to try to clean this up and do some finesse grinding up here. It would be better if I could put it in a lathe, but it would take a lot of work to take this all apart and put this in a lathe, and I don't think it's worth it. Side comment, there's only 2 places on here that have any weld on them at all. So there's just 2 little contact points of weld. All the rest of the weld was on the other piece, and it was just piled up on the other piece, and none of it made it over to this central shaft. I doubt it's going to fit on there yet, but we'll give it a shot. Well, it's fairly close, but I'm going to have to do some very fine work here. I'm going to take just a little file and see if I can't get it to fit better. There's a bump on the end here that's supposed to fit in this hole. There's this hole right here, and this little round bump is supposed to fit in that hole, and it doesn't right now. Well, I think that fits on there pretty snugly. It's not exactly what I call square and straight yet, but it's getting close. I'm just going to be able to eyeball it, I think. I don't know. I may have to think about that and see if I have a way of lining it up better. Well, I did a little bit more grinding off camera. I did a little more beveling on the end of this shaft. It won't be easy to weld this. It's going to be even harder to keep it straight and square. I think I'm just going to go ahead and go to lunch and do some thinking on this and see how I can rig this up for welding. Well, I'm going to try to hurry up and put some tack welds on this. I went ahead and put it back in the machine because I didn't know any other way to get it lined up, and it's kind of unstable, so I'm going to try to put a couple tack welds on it. After 2 tack welds, it'll be welded just as well as it came from the factory. No kidding. In fact, I hate to say it, but that may already be welded better for sure. Oh well, I'm going to take it out of there now and see if it's stuck. I think it did. Doubt in my mind it's way better than it was. That's good enough. If it held the other way at all, it should never break this way. I've been cooling it off with this rag. It's not exactly cool, but it's not burning hot either. It's just real warm. I think the hydraulic oil probably gets close to that hot. I mean, if you've ever tried to take a hot hydraulic line off, you know they're pretty darn hot. And so I don't think I got it much hotter than that, maybe a little bit. I'm pretty happy with that. As the Farmcraft guy says, that ain't going nowhere. Yeah, we'll see. And this may prove me different, but right now I don't think it's going anywhere. Still just trying to cool it off. Trying to keep that good cold water on the rag. That helps it cool off much faster. I don't think it's going to burn me now. No, it's pretty decent now. I think we're fine. Alright, so I've got a little bit of spatter type stuff right around here. I'm going to take the grinder here and just touch it lightly in places just to get rid of that. The problem seems to be right at the chrome bar. It seems like the weld's not as good there, and that may be the problem with what they did too, you know. I don't know. There may be some problem with welding this stuff. I really don't know. It's probably okay, but I'm not overly happy with it. It's I'd say it's way better than it was. I don't think there's any question of that. But I don't know that I feel 100% confident like I would like to. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to hit it with some more weld. I'm going to try welding just a little bit more. I don't know if I need it or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. I figure now's the time. That looks a lot better. Just that little bit right there made it a lot better, I think. I think I'm going to go to the other side and see if that other side needs it too. Yep. I think I got it now. I feel real good about that. I'm pretty sure that got rid of the porosity that I was seeing around that edge. I think grinding it made a big difference. Yep. Yeah, it looks good now. I'm happy with it now. Here's a close-up of the weld. While I'm not a great welder, I think anybody can see that that's blended in pretty good, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. I promise you that from the factory it only had 2 little tiny tack welds going to this shaft here from this. This had a lot of weld on it, but it was all bird poop weld, and only 2 places was it actually touching or tacked to this rod. So I think we're in good shape now. Gee, I almost forgot to film putting it back on. I've got it sitting there. I've got a hand tight connection down here. I'm going to try to get this connection hand tight. I'm going to go ahead and clean this rod off before I put it back in there, in case it's got any dirt or anything stuck to it. My wrench just fell apart. The Harbor Freight ratchet wrench, I've had trouble with this one before, and it just fell apart, and guess where the parts went? Down in the oil. So I have my gear wrench now. I'll use it. Okay, I think we're 100% back together. Now let's go see if it actually works. Well, the very first test is, will it even work to hook up this? I assume it will, but we don't know until we try.
Now that I got the cylinder fix on the Bobcat, I've put on the brush hog attachment. Now this brush hog attachment is something that I made out of an old brush hog, and I've pretty much changed everything on it. As you can see, I've turned it around where I'm, hooked onto the what would normally be the back side of the brush hog. I have a hydraulic motor spinning it, and it's got a lot of advantages, and you will soon see some of those advantages. We fixed the bird poop weld. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. We have got lots and lots of content coming up, and we'll see you on the next video.